The night was too quiet. Ethan Hale had always loved the sound of the ocean outside their Charleston home, the slow, rhythmic pulse of waves against the shore, the occasional call of a gull drifting through the darkness. But tonight, it felt wrong. Offbeat. Like the sea itself was holding its breath. He glanced at the clock. 12:47 a.m. Clara wasn't home yet. She had texted around 9, dinner with co-workers, don't wait up Redheart. It wasn't unusual. She worked long hours as a marketing director for a real estate firm downtown. But lately, the messages had changed. They'd grown shorter. More distant. And those little hearts, they used to mean something. Now they felt like punctuation. Ethan leaned back in the worn leather chair in his study. His phone lay face up on the desk, the blue light reflecting off an unopened beer. He'd opened one already. Half gone. Warm. He wasn't a jealous man. Not by nature. But there were small things that had been gnawing at him for weeks, her perfume lingering when she came home late, the sudden urge to keep her phone screen turned away from him, the soft smile she gave when she thought he wasn't looking. He told himself not to overthink. He always did. But when headlights flashed across the living room curtains, he froze. Clara's silver SUV rolled quietly into the driveway. Ethan's chest tightened. He didn't move. He heard the soft jingle of her keys, the door creaking open. Then her heels clicking lightly against the hardwood floor. She hesitated, sensing perhaps that he was awake. "Hey," she called softly. "You're still up?" He didn't answer right away. When he stepped out of the study, she was slipping off her coat. Her hair was tousled from the night air, a few strands sticking to her neck. She smelled faintly of wine, and something else. A cologne he didn't recognize. "Yeah," he said finally. "Just couldn't sleep." She smiled, a little too brightly. "You worry too much, you know that." He watched her move to the kitchen, pour herself a glass of water. Everything she did seemed deliberate. Calculated. Like she was performing normal. "Dinner went late?" he asked. "Yeah," she said, not turning around. "We went to the harbor house. You know, that place with the rooftop patio. Great view of the bay." He walked closer. "Who was there?" She shrugged lightly. "The usual team. My boss, couple of agents, oh, and Ryan from the design department. He's hilarious." Ethan's stomach tightened. He remembered her mentioning that name before, Ryan. Always in that casual tone, like a harmless office friend. But her voice now had that soft, distracted edge. He tried to smile. "Sounds fun." She turned, finally meeting his gaze. For a moment, neither of them spoke. There was something in her eyes, guilt, or maybe exhaustion, before she looked away. "I'm gonna shower," she said quietly. Ethan nodded. "Sure." He waited until he heard the water running upstairs before picking up her phone from the counter. It wasn't locked, she trusted him, or maybe she'd forgotten. His heart pounded as he scrolled. Work messages. Photos from her coworkers. And then, one thread labeled R. His thumb hovered over it. He shouldn't. He knew he shouldn't. But curiosity isn't always a choice. It's a pull, like the tide. He opened it. The last message was sent an hour ago. "Can't stop thinking about you. Wish you could have stayed longer." Ethan stared at the screen. His hands trembled. Below, her reply glowed faintly in the dark kitchen. "Me too. Next time, somewhere we won't be interrupted, Redheart." He dropped the phone onto the counter like it burned him. The sound of the shower upstairs grew louder. He stood there in silence, his pulse thundering in his ears. The world felt smaller, the air thicker. The ocean outside whispered against the shore, calm and endless. And Ethan realized, something inside him had just changed forever. The next morning, Charleston woke under a blanket of golden fog. The air smelled of rain and magnolia blossoms, thick and heavy, as if the city itself were still half asleep. Ethan made coffee, moving through the kitchen in silence. Clara came down a few minutes later, dressed for work, pale blue blouse, fitted blazer, heels that clicked softly against the tile. She looked perfect. Too perfect. "Morning," she said, her tone light, casual. He managed a nod. "Morning." She poured herself coffee, scrolling through her phone. The same phone he'd touched last night. The one that had shown him the truth. His eyes lingered on her fingers, the soft pink nails, the diamond ring he'd saved 3 months' salary to buy. The ring she still wore. She caught his stare. "What?" "Nothing," he said. "Just tired." She smiled faintly, took a sip, and kissed him on the cheek, the same place she'd probably let another man's lips touch hours earlier. "I'll see you tonight," she said. He watched her leave, the door closing with that quiet, final sound that suddenly meant more than it ever had before. For hours after she left, Ethan sat in the kitchen, staring at the grain of the wooden table. The messages replayed in his mind like a broken record. "Can't stop thinking about you." He could hear Ryan's name in her voice now, hidden beneath every sentence she'd spoken in the past month. He tried to rationalize. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was a joke. Or a misunderstanding. But people don't send hearts for misunderstandings. By noon, he was driving downtown. He told himself it was just to surprise her, maybe take her to lunch, see her smile, prove himself wrong. But deep down, he already knew he was looking for confirmation, not reassurance. Her office was in a sleek glass building overlooking the Cooper River. The parking lot shimmered under the heat, and when Ethan turned off the engine, he sat there for a minute, watching people come and go. He spotted her car, the same silver SUV from last night, parked near the entrance. Inside, the lobby smelled like citrus and new carpet. The receptionist, a young woman with too much makeup and not enough patience, greeted him politely. "Can I help you, sir?" "I'm here for Clara Hale," Ethan said. "Her husband." "Oh," the woman said, her smile faltering. "She's in a meeting right now." "With who?" The woman hesitated, glancing at her screen. With Ryan Carter. He's in design." Ethan's chest went cold. He thanked her and walked out before she could ask more questions. He waited in his car across the street. He told himself to leave, to go home, but he didn't. 40 minutes later, the glass doors opened. Clara and a tall man in a gray suit walked out, laughing. The man, Ryan, was maybe mid-30s, confident, charming in that effortless way some men are. He touched her arm as they talked, and she didn't pull away. Ethan gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. They stood there a moment longer, smiling, unaware of the eyes burning into them from across the street. Then Ryan leaned in and said something. Clara laughed again, that laugh Ethan hadn't heard in months. He started the car. The sound startled them, both turned toward the noise. Clara froze when she saw him through the windshield. Her face drained of color. That night, she came home early. Ethan was on the porch, a glass of whiskey in hand. The sunset bled orange over the water. The waves rolled in slow, heavy, indifferent. She walked up the steps quietly. "Ethan, can we talk?" He didn't look at her. "Go ahead." She stood beside him, fidgeting with her bracelet. "I saw you outside my office." "I know. I didn't expect." "I didn't either," he cut in. "Didn't expect to see my wife smiling like that with someone else." She sighed, lowering her eyes. "It's not what you think." He laughed, low, bitter. "That line again." "Ethan, please." Her voice trembled now. "Ryan's a friend." We've been working on a project for weeks. We went out for drinks after. That's all. He turned finally, meeting her eyes. And the messages? Her lips parted slightly. What? Can't stop thinking about you. Next time, somewhere we won't be interrupted. He spoke the words slowly, deliberately, like tearing a wound open with each syllable. She froze, breath caught. Then, quietly, you looked at my phone. You were lying to me, he said. I had to. Silence fell between them, thick as the humidity. Finally, she said it, barely a whisper. It wasn't supposed to happen. Ethan's stomach dropped. So it did happen. She nodded once, tears welling. It was one night. I made a mistake. He stood up sharply, the chair scraping the wood. A mistake. You chose him. Ethan. You looked me in the eye this morning. You kissed me. You wore that ring. His voice cracked. And now you're telling me it was just one night? She tried to reach for him, but he stepped back. The ocean murmured in the distance, swallowing their words. I didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. He laughed again, hollow. You didn't mean to get caught. For a long time, neither spoke. The evening air grew colder, sharper. Somewhere, a boat horn echoed across the bay. Finally, Ethan said quietly, leave. Go stay with your sister or a hotel. I can't look at you right now. Clara's eyes glistened in the fading light. She nodded, wiped her cheek, and walked toward the car. As she drove away, Ethan stayed on the porch, listening to the sound of the waves, steady, unbroken, and wondered how something so constant could feel so cruel. Charleston felt different after she left. The next few days moved like a slow, heavy tide, every hour dragging another memory onto shore. The house, once filled with the gentle rhythm of their routines, was now a museum of what used to be. Her mug on the counter. Her perfume in the hallway. Her laugh, still echoing faintly in the spaces between rooms. Ethan tried to live as if nothing had changed. He went to work, came home, cooked for one. But everything he touched felt foreign now. Like he was living in someone else's life. And then came the envelope. 3 days later, it arrived in the mailbox, no name, no return address. Just his. Inside was a single photo. Clara and Ryan, sitting close in a booth at the harbor house. Her hand on his thigh under the table, his arm around her shoulder. Both smiling like people with no reason to hide. On the back, written in neat handwriting, you deserve to know. He stared at it for a long time. It wasn't just anger that filled him. It was humiliation, the sharp, suffocating kind that seeps into your bones. Everyone had probably known before he did. Her co-workers. Maybe even her sister. He poured a drink. Then another. By midnight, the house was dark except for the soft glow of the lamp and the empty bottle beside him. He picked up his phone. There were messages from Clara, 5, unread. Please talk to me. I'm sorry. You have every right to be angry. Can we just meet once, to explain? The last one stopped him. Tomorrow. The pier, by the lighthouse. Please. He stared at the screen. Then typed back, slowly. Fine. The next evening, the sky was painted in bruised shades of purple and gold. The pier stretched out over the darkening water, the wood damp and slick beneath his shoes. The lighthouse stood at the end, tall, silent, watching. Clara was already there, her hair pulled back, her eyes red from crying. She turned when she saw him. Thank you for coming, she said softly. He stopped a few feet away. Say what you need to say. She took a shaky breath. I've been trying to make sense of what I did. It wasn't about him. It was about me, feeling lost, invisible. Like the life I'd built just wasn't mine anymore. Ethan said nothing. I didn't mean for it to go that far, she continued. Ryan, he was just there. He listened. He made me feel something I hadn't felt in years. He let out a long, bitter sigh. And you couldn't tell me that? The man who's been next to you for 10 years. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't want to hurt you. You already did. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of salt and storm. Waves crashed against the pilings below. He took a step closer. Tell me something, Clara. Was it worth it? She flinched. No. Then why do I still see his name every time I close my eyes? She reached out, fingers trembling. Ethan, please. I know I can't erase it. But maybe we can start over. He looked at her hand, then at her face, searching for the woman he used to know. All he saw was a stranger who wore his wife's skin. He stepped back. There's no we anymore. Her hand fell. The silence between them was vast, filled only by the sound of the sea. After a moment, she whispered, what happens now? He pulled something from his pocket, her ring. The diamond caught the last light of dusk, throwing a cold glint across the wood. You forgot this, he said. She stared at it, tears spilling freely now. Ethan. He placed it on the railing beside her. You can keep it. Maybe it'll remind you what you threw away. And then he walked off the pier. She called after him once, his name carried weakly through the wind, but he didn't turn back. 2 months passed. Charleston moved on. The seasons changed, tourists came and went, and the ocean kept its rhythm, indifferent as ever. Ethan filed for divorce quietly. Clara didn't contest it. She'd moved out of the city, some said Atlanta, others didn't know. He didn't care. But on quiet nights, when the world went still and the only sound was the sea against the shore, he sometimes thought about her, the way she'd looked that first night they met at a jazz bar downtown, laughing over a glass of wine. The woman who once reached for his hand under the table like it was the most natural thing in the world. That version of her was gone. Maybe she'd been gone long before Ryan ever appeared. One evening, as he walked along the beach, the tide lapping at his feet, he saw something glinting in the sand, a small silver ring, half buried. For a second, his chest tightened. It wasn't hers, of course. Just a trinket left by someone else. But he picked it up anyway. He turned it over in his palm, the metal cool against his skin, then tossed it back into the sea. The waves swallowed it without a sound. He stood there for a long while, watching the horizon fade into darkness. Maybe some things weren't meant to be fixed. Maybe love, once broken, doesn't shatter all at once, it erodes slowly, like the shore itself, grain by grain, until one day you wake up and realize there's nothing left to hold. Behind him, Charleston glowed faintly in the distance, a city of ghosts, memories, and what-ifs. Ethan turned away from the water, shoved his hands in his pockets, and walked home through the warm southern night. The ocean kept whispering behind him, steady, eternal, as if it knew everything he never said.